what I wanted to chat about today was how to prepare for an art exhibition without sort of losing your mind. So we'll start at the very beginning. So you need to research your galleries first. So if you're thinking, all right, I'm getting a bit of work together that you'd like to exhibit, or you might just have in your mind, you might have an exhibition you want to put together to share, which is sort of what I was doing or am doing. But you need to, right at the start, go and research some galleries first, okay, and find ones that are suited to you, because there's no point applying for an exhibition to hold an exhibition if you're, say, a realist wildlife artist that works in pastel like me. And you'd go to a gallery that only sort of accepts acrylic abstract paintings, so it'd be pointless going and approaching that gallery to see if I could host an exhibition there or hold an exhibition, because they're going to say no. Okay, so you need to do your research, and I would always start local and always start small. So I'm doing a solo exhibition at our council gallery in Maryborough, so it's called Gattaca's Art Space, and I'm doing that, and that one I'm going to share my screen a bit here just to show you the difference between sort of that type of gallery. So that's a council one, and you have to apply to get accepted. But I'm also doing an exhibition with a girlfriend, Liz, and we're doing one out at Mount Perry, and it's a small little regional art society gallery, and you don't have to, the most you have to do is just ask when they have space. So you don't have to actually apply and fill in forms or any of that stuff. And the same with our local Maryborough Art Society gallery. We can just go and book a wall. So you just go in and find out when there's space, and you can just book a wall. They're the ones, if you can find a local gallery like that, that's where to start, where you can book a wall, and it's only going to cost you $30 or $50 for a whole month for one wall, and you can put 8 paintings or 4 paintings or however many paintings you want. You don't need to apply, you don't need to pass any strict entry level sort of thing. So that's where I would start, your local art society, and either book a wall or book the gallery. Like me and Liz have booked the gallery at Mount Perry. We just found out when it was next available, and that is 27th of September, I think, to early November, so pretty much October. And so we just talked to them, or Liz just talked to them, and worked out when they could fit us in. I can't remember how much it was for the whole sort of space. I don't think it was that expensive. And we can fit, they've said we can fit about 40 to 50 works in there. So that's why we're working together as well. So I would always, if you can't just book a wall and you need to book a whole gallery like room or space, then definitely approach some other artist friends. It can be just one other friend that you go halves in, or it could be 4 of you that do a whole exhibition together. And honestly, the more people involved, sometimes the more fun. There's less pressure because you don't have to come up with all these pieces of work yourself. And the opening night is way more fun because you've got all of these other artists and they've invited all their friends, and it's just a great get together. So definitely, if I was starting out, I would check out my local gallery society, find out if I could just book a wall, or get together with some other locals and some friends and just book a space together and then organise it. And you've usually got 6 months for the council gallery that I've doing my solo exhibition. I applied the start of last year, and they found space for me in April 2026. So I had over 2 years to get ready, and I've still got, nearly a year to keep going. So, and I've needed that time to get ready because I'm creating it all from new. So the one where I'm doing with Liz, I'm working on, I'm using pieces I've already got, essentially. Okay, so hi everyone who's getting on. So yeah, so I wanted to share my screen and just show the difference between, let me just go here, sort of a bit of the difference between the two galleries. I figured out how to share my screen there. All right, what is it? That one. Okay, here we go. Whenever I share my screen, I can't see any of the comments or anything, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, so this is Gattaca's art space. Okay, so this, you go to their website. You can do it all online, which is great, but it's also good to go and visit the gallery and talk to them as well. But they show on here, these are the spaces. I'm booking gallery 4. But you just choose a gallery, like that's why going to see it is better, because you can get a feel for what you want to, where you want to put your work and what you sort of want to happen. And then you just submit the application form, which I will just change to this one. So I can just show you, can I zoom up? Oh no, that's search, that's not zoom. I can't see a zoom. Anyway. So anyway, this is the form. It's sort of, you've got to go through and read all their rules and regulations, but then you've got to tell them what you're like, put a proposal to them, the name of it, you know, what it's about, give them some images, which was very hard because I hadn't created anything for this. It was just an idea. So I just shared images, like some reference images, to help them understand what I was putting together, as well as some of my previous artwork, so they can see the style of my art and sort of what medium it's all going to be in, all the details there, when you would like the exhibition, like your preference, but they pretty much just come back and tell you when, what gallery, all the rest, and there's a price. So for the whole gallery 4 that I've booked, which is quite large, I'll share some photos later. It was only $180, which I didn't think was that bad, and that's for a month. Okay, so that is oh, I meant to, sorry, hold on, let me just share this again, because I want to show you the difference. So that's sort of the, hold on, oh my God, let me just cancel that. So why is this not coming up? I wanted this picture to come up. Share window, there we go, share. Okay, whereas this is the Mount Perry one, and this is very similar to our local art society gallery. So you can see that Gattaca's is a council run one, so all formal, you've got to apply, you've got to fill out all the paperwork, all the rest of it. Whereas the Mount Perry one, they don't have, it's just a local art society, so they don't have any forms or anything. You just go, you probably, I know our local gallery, you don't even have to tell them what you're painting. You've just got to book the space. But I could get on, well, Liz actually took some photos as well because she's been there. But to get a feel for it, I could get online and just look at their Facebook page, and they've got photos of their exhibitions and stuff. So you can get a feel for what the gallery looks like. And that sort of can help you figure out sort of how many paintings you're going to need and all the rest of it. Okay, so just working, that's sort of the difference that I just wanted to make sure you understood. I'm pretty sure it's probably similar all over the world, but yeah, your more formal council galleries, you have to do that proposal, whereas your local little art society ones, you just go and book a space. Now, I'm not talking about privately owned large galleries that are sort of in the cities. We don't really have too many up here. We do have we have a couple that I could approach and all the rest. They'd be very similar to the council one. They'd want to know what you paint, your idea for the exhibition, all of that stuff. Okay, but I'm more talking just about the ones that I'm doing at the moment. To approach a gallery, that like a large gallery in the city, you have to have a portfolio, and you've got to really know sort of your style and what your work is to approach one of those. So that is next level again. Okay, so this is more, starting out and wanting to get your feet wet and get out there and have a look in some gallery, like get your work out there. I'm just checking comments here. Let me just go back over to Instagram. It's all good. Okay, so like I said, you can see the difference between the two types of galleries. So always go to your local one first if it's your first go at exhibiting, but also do it with a friend. Find an artist friend that you can share it with. So, all right. So once you've figured out, that was your first step, figuring out what gallery, doing some research. So once you've sort of been accepted into one or booked one, then that's pretty exciting. But then you'll start to go, oh my God, the panic will set in, and it's like, what do I do now? So, all right. So preparing your work for the show doesn't have to be stressful, but there are quite a lot of things to think about, a lot of sort of moving parts, I suppose. So sort of from selecting the right pieces to framing to pricing to promoting. So it's the whole thing, and that's what I want to break down here, because it's what I'm going through at the moment. And I think if you have a good plan and sort of what you're doing step by step, then it's not quite as daunting, because as that deadline approaches, so as the date gets closer to the exhibition, things start to get a bit scary. So the first question is like, what pieces of art am I going to exhibit? So choosing the right work. So just your favorite pieces are not always like the right answer. So things to consider cohesion. So if you're submitting multiple pieces, then you want it to sort of feel like it works together. Like a strong exhibition sort of tells a visual story and showcases a consistent style. So I know a lot of us have all different types of painting styles. You might not just do pastel, you might do some mixed media. Like I do charcoal, I do a bit of mixed media with the pastel. I do detailed realism, not hyperrealism, but detailed realism. But then I've been doing these more blocky sort of sketch type of paintings as well. So you could, the style of painting or the medium could be the cohesive part. So, I would still try and stick to maybe have a theme as well. But if you have a very strong theme, then you can mix up the medium styles. So I've got my one at Gattaca's that I'm doing in April. It's a solo exhibition, and it's on the colours of Gari, so Fraser Island. And because it has a strong theme of just Fraser Island, and those like reds and greens and blues and all the rest, so I was focusing on those colours. I'm doing I can mix the mediums up a bit. So most of it is pastel, but I do have plans of a few watercolor and a few graphite work. But they're all going to be that strong theme. So that's how I can mix the media up. But if I didn't really have as much of a theme, then I would probably try and stick to the cohesion of just all pastels maybe, or all charcoal or something like that. Okay. You also need to, I suppose, think about the impact. So think about what might stop someone in their tracks. So your best work might not be the most complicated or technically perfect, but it might be the piece that has like the most presence. And we're always talking about trying to create story as well with your work. So really think about, like a showstopper piece that everyone's going to go, wow. So whether that's like you do something really large or really bold. But yeah, think about that as well within your theme. So what I'm just reading my notes here. The other thing also, be objective, okay, because we sometimes get a bit caught up. We're a bit close to our work. So get a friend to sort of ask you, put together what you're thinking, and then see what ones they sort of think that stand out to them, because you might be totally wrong. You might think this is like the best piece, but they might not think that at all. So yeah, take their advice as well. Like, don't just ignore it. Take some advice from others as well. Okay, so like for the Mount Perry one I'm doing with Liz, because I don't have time to create a whole new body of work, and I have a lot of work here. So what I'm doing, I've thought about what I've got in my art, that I've got probably 20 pieces that could come together as a theme, and I'm going to do black and white. So black and white animals. So not that the actual animal, like not just zebras and pandas and things that are black and white, but all the paintings are going to be black and white, or drawings are going to be black and white. So that's going to be like charcoal, pastel, the white on black, like that little kitten we did on the Tuesday chat the other week. I'll probably frame that and put that in there as well. So yeah, anything that's in those sort of grey scales and black and white. So that's a theme I knew I could come up with straight away, because I've got a lot of art sitting around, and pretty easy to frame it as well, because all of the like Spotlight and Big W and all of those places have always, their frames are white or black. So pretty easy to go and get some frames for those as well. So that's a theme I've just thought about with existing work. Whereas the solo exhibition is colours of Fraser Island, and there's that common theme between the deep reds and the rust colours of the sand, the dingoes, the Mahino wreck, and it sort of contrasts against the bright greens of the moss on the wreck and the Central Station rainforest and all that. So the theme is the colours, and I had to come up with that theme to approach a gallery. Okay, so there's another difference. If it's a gallery, you've got to approach and give them an idea of what you're going to put together. You have to have that theme. So and they need to be able to understand what it's about. Okay, whereas where you're just your local society, I don't have to do a theme. I could just do random paintings up there. It wouldn't bother them in the slightest. But I think myself, it's just going to look nicer as a theme. And Liz is working on dogs. She's going to do a theme just on all her paintings going to be of dogs, which is great. So that's a quite a great theme as well. But it's, again, they're both quite simple themes, black and white and dogs, so you don't have to get too carried away. If I was approaching like the Gattaca's art gallery, if I just said I'm doing black and white, they probably would want more details than that. Okay, so I could do black and white there, but I'd have to have a proper story and a reason of why I'm doing black and white over there. So, all right, what's 10 you got? Is an order pay a fee to have an exhibition? I haven't come across that in South Australia, except where I hired a room to do an art demo day during my exhibition at my library. Yeah, these ones you're paying a fee because you're hiring the gallery room. So yeah, for an exhibition, depends. Like if it's like a exhibition competition, then when you submit your pieces for that, you pay to submit. So it's like usually $25, $30 or something. With these galleries I'm talking about, so your local art societies and your council-run galleries, you're hiring the space. So yeah, you are going to pay for that. If you're looking at a proper, not proper, but a privately sort of owned gallery in a city or something, then no, they don't usually charge. If they're charging you, I would be questioning it, because they usually you've got to really put together a portfolio and approach them. And if they like your work, they'll exhibit you. But they keep 50% of anything they sell. Okay. And that is how they make their money. I mean, everyone's going to make money. So these other galleries I'm talking about today, they still keep a percentage, but it's usually about 25 to 30%. So, but your privately owned galleries, no, they shouldn't be charging because they're keeping 50%. And that's why you have to approach them with a portfolio and get to know them and really sort of sell yourself, I suppose, because that's how they make their money, by selling your work. So if they don't think they can sell your work, they're not going to take you on. Okay, so you've got to be really clear with them of your style. And they also, if they do take you on and your work is sold and it's a good fit for their gallery, they need you to be able to produce work. Okay, so that's a conversation you have with them at the start when you go to a big gallery like that. One of their questions will be, well, how many works can you produce? Like, can you produce 100 a year, 20 a year, or 3 a year? You know, if it's only like 3 a year, they're probably not going to maybe take you on, because that's probably not enough. But who knows? I don't know. I haven't approached a gallery. They don't like work behind glass, put it that way. I've asked a couple of them now, and it's not just the reflections they don't like in their gallery space. It's really hard for shipping as well. Like logistically, it can be a bit of a nightmare when glass is involved. So they don't really preference pastel work at all. So I don't usually try and approach galleries for that reason. But yes, if you are approaching a private gallery, then no, you shouldn't be paying. Okay. But definitely just have that conversation and talk to them. Okay, so I want to share my screen again. All right, I wanted to show how, so we're talking now about sort of choosing the right artwork. And like I said, for the Mount Perry one, I just went with the black and white theme, so it's not that hard. But with the Fraser Island one, I've had to come up with like what I wanted to paint. So let me go here. Sorry, it takes me forever to share this screen. I don't know why. Okay. So I went on we go to Fraser Island every few years and have done since I was like a teenager. Just love it over there. And I'm into camping. So last trip we went, we went because I knew I wanted to do an exhibition. So, and when I was over there, that was where I started to think, all right, the colours and those reds and rust colours were very common. So I took 1,000 photos. Mainly I want to get some of the dingoes, of course, because they're like my favourite thing. But then I love the wreck, the Mahino, the contrast of the green against the rust, and then I've got others of Central Station and everything. So like I said, I had heaps and heaps of photos. And so then I came back and I went through all of them and I made a folder on my computer and I shortlisted I shortlisted into buckets. I had Mahino wreck, I had dingoes, I had the rainforest, I had birds, I had sand. So I did different folders and I just was throwing in the photos that I really loved. Okay, so once I had my folders and the ideas were starting to come then as you're looking at them, then I shortlisted even further and picked then just what I felt would work in the exhibition. So, and this was a year ago that I started to put these together. I loved the faces of the Mahino, which is something I'm doing. So yeah, a lot of the wreck there. The dingoes. I've got other pages with more of the rainforest and stuff there as well. So these were just ideas you know, these little sand ones, they were all starting to come together. And then once I shortlisted, I then started figuring out sizes as well. So you can see here I've got what size I'm going to do each one. Okay, and I just went through and worked out all my sizing, and now all I need to do is go through and tick off the paintings as I'm going. So but as I'm working, so like I said, this was over a year ago, I set up what I was going to paint and all the rest. But as I'm going through, I'm starting to go, all right, that one actually doesn't really suit, so I'm not going to paint that one. I might change things up. You know, I've got, I probably don't, I think I've got another bird one. I wanted to have a couple more birds, not just sort of one or two. I'm not sure about, I'm not going to probably bother with the pandanus. So yeah, but having all of that structured like that, so it makes it a lot easier for me to now just, rather than have this panic of, oh my God, it's getting closer, I need to fill this space, because I booked a big space. I can go through and just go, all right, tick that one off, finished. Tick that one off, finished. Like I've done a triptych of the 3 dingoes, and I was going to do those as realism. But in the end, I did them as a stick sort of block painting instead. So because I just felt as I was doing it that I wanted some more variety to these dingoes, so they weren't all exactly the same. Okay, so that was how I sort of have been working through that. And then just let me check my notes because I want to share. Yeah. So then what I've also done is went into Gattaca's with a tape measure. So some galleries might have, hopefully you can see this one. Hold on. I'm just going to stop sharing that for a sec and let me try that again. Some galleries might have a floor plan for you, but Gattaca's didn't. And but they did have a tape measure. So I went up into the space, and this is the space I've booked. And I just had a tape measure, and I just went through and I took a photo of every single wall and measured it. Okay. And then, you know, on your phone, when you take a photo on your phone and you just, so you open the photo and you swipe down or swipe up, one or the other. I think you swipe up. And then a notes section comes up and you can type notes on that photo. Okay, so what I did, I measured each wall, and then I went to the photo, swiped up, put the length, the size of the wall. Okay, so it's all on my phone. It's all recorded. So now I can go back through and I can now take even just those reference photos. They don't have to be the finished paintings. I can just get those reference photos and start to sort of position them on walls. So yeah, so I've just, that's how I've been through, because I need to figure out, I need to be able to fill this space essentially. So I wanted to figure out all of those sizes, so I knew what size paintings to make and how many I would need, because once, like, the paintings might look big to me here, but the minute they're on a big wall like that, they sort of shrink. So that was the next step, was to go and measure it, figure out the space. Even though the gallery, they hang the work, you don't hang it. At your local art societies, you'll hang the work, or they'll probably help you hang it. But at a council-run gallery like Gattaca's, they hang all the work. Okay, I can give them ideas of where I want them or what works to put together where, and then they hang them. So I like to, but the main thing for me to measure it all is so that I know I've got enough pieces to put in there. Okay, I would hate to have it look really sparse. I need it to look like, you know, it's designed to suit the space. So another thing I then wanted to share, I've got a million things to share. I've just got to find it here. There it is. There. Okay, so next thing, which I haven't done this yet, but I just want to share this website because it's pretty amazing and it's free. It's called artsteps.com. Okay, so I can make my own virtual art space. So for those that are in the Creative Barn membership, every year I host a gallery exhibition here in Maryborough for all my students. Okay, but of course that isn't that feasible for people overseas to post work to me. So this year I'm going to try and do a virtual exhibition as well that corresponds with our in-person one. Okay, but this is pretty cool. So I can get in here and use those measurements that I took of the gallery and recreate it virtually, and then I can hang my art on it. Okay, so I don't know if this one. Okay, these are just other people that have created these galleries. Okay, scale, so the right size is brilliant. Okay, so yeah, and then you can just create the gallery. How cool is this? But this is what I'm going to do for my members as well. And then you can actually click on a painting and it gives you all the details. So I'm not going to go to that extreme for my Gattaca's one, my exhibition. I mainly just want to, I don't know how to get out of this now. I mainly just want to create a space so I can position my work. But for my members exhibition, I'll definitely be doing it where they click on it and everyone gets to see. It'll be a good experience for my members as well to come up with. I'm going to make them do an art statement as well for each piece. Okay, but yeah, so how cool is that? So not only can I, not only now I've seen the gallery, measured it all up, I can create a virtual gallery and put my work up and make sure I'm going to fill the space. So looking forward to the student exhibition. Yeah, it's going to be really cool doing it that way. So yeah, because some of my members that are on here know we have this, like I said, this exhibition here. I book the whole gallery, and it's a way it's such a great experience for beginner artists to put their work in an exhibition. It gives you confidence, and to see your work on a wall amongst others. Yeah, it's just a really important step, I feel. So that's why I do it every year for my members. But it's so limiting to people that live sort of in this area, or just Australians, essentially. Some can post up if they want or send me prints and things. But to be able to, I usually have a TV with a slideshow of all my overseas members' work going through and everyone interstate. But I felt having an actual virtual gallery is even cooler than a slideshow. So I'll still have a slideshow, but how cool will that be for a virtual gallery, and everyone can just share it around then? Just something fun. Okay, so yeah, so now I've been accepted. I've figured out my theme, and I've now really worked out what's going where. Okay, so then we come to our framing and presentation. So this can sort of make or break how your artwork is received. Even the best paintings can look really amateurish if they're in a really poor frame or mismatched frame, or they're not clean. I won't mention any names, of course, but that was something that was quite recent in a gallery that I was made aware of, that the frame actually looked like it come out of a shed and hadn't been cleaned or anything. So really, yeah, not a good look. So make sure, even your glass, make sure there's no fingerprints all over it. Like some of these behind me, my little 2-year-old grandson was in here the other day and he was touching them all. So I know they've all got fingerprints everywhere. So I can't just take it off the wall and send it in. I need to make sure I get all those fingerprints off. Okay, so some tips for framing, of course. Odette's on here, she knows what she's doing, but the rest of us don't. But if you're trying to do like a theme, try and frame consistently. So use frames that sort of suit the medium. So of course with pastel, it's going to be under glass. But you don't want your frame to compete with the artwork. You don't want people to go, oh, wow, what a beautiful frame. Even though it might be a beautiful frame, that's not what you want people to see. You want people to notice the art. The frame is secondary. Okay, but I know there's a lot of, when you look at some of the galleries and exhibitions, I quite often will go, oh, wow, that frame is gorgeous. But that's not what you want, okay? You don't want people admiring the frame. You want them to admire your art. Okay, so keep your matting and your frame quite neutral. You don't want it to overwhelm your work as well. And Odette gave a tip to me, which I thought was really great. The frames I'm using, especially in the one exhibition, they're all going to be kind of matching and quite neutral. But the idea for that as well is I'm also making all my pieces set sizes. So I have 3 sizes. I have a full sheet of pastel matte, a half sheet of pastel matte, and a quarter sheet of pastel matte. And that way, after it's costing me quite a lot to get all my pictures framed for the exhibition. But after the exhibition, if I've got work that didn't sell, I can just use those frames again. I can swap out the artwork because they're neutral. They're going to suit anything. And because I'm working in those set sizes, which is how I work most of the time, they're going to suit whatever pieces. So I can then do another exhibition, totally different theme, but the frames will work and next time I won't have to spend as much. So just things like that to keep in mind. Also, the sort of the hardware of the frame. So always check your hanging requirements from the gallery. So most galleries will want D-rings and actually don't hang by the wire on the back. And yeah, certainly not just, those little sawtooth hooks or things that are in those cheaper frames. Okay, they need D-rings because like my gallery system back here that I have, it's pretty much the same all galleries use now. And they're a little hook and they just hook through those D hooks. And that way they're perfectly straight all the time. As long as you've got the hook straight, I suppose. But it's not as safe to hang by the wire. And also by the wire, it can slip and move around throughout the exhibition. So I always like to have a wire still on the back because if someone buys the work and takes it home, most people at home will hang by the wire, of course. They don't have a gallery system. So it's always think of your customer as well, because if they get home and they can't hang it, then they're not going to be happy, are they? Also, make sure to label your work. Include your name, your title, your medium, and your price. So check whether the venue might provide labels or if you should. So you always want that. I'm going to share my screen again. But you always want that on the back of your work, but also depending on the gallery, whether they have their own for the front. But I would for our for like the Art Society exhibition, we can probably put whatever we want on it. So I would probably label the front as well, just with like the title, the medium and the price and the artist. But I would go a step further and do an artist statement for each piece. So an artist statement is just 1 or 2 sentences about the work, like telling the story. The story is what sells the piece. Okay, so I'm hoping at the Gattaca's, the big one I'm doing, I'm hoping they allow me to do an artist statement for each piece. They might not. They might only allow just the titles and that. But if you can do an artist statement, I know it's more work, but it's definitely worth it because the longer your customers and viewers are in there looking at your work and they're then reading all about it, and that's what's going to affect them emotionally, I suppose. And that's when they might purchase your art as well. But if the gallery doesn't allow separate artist statements on every piece, then I would probably do a larger bio and artist statement on the whole theme, like talk about what it is, why you're painting this, why it's a theme, like your story behind it all. And most galleries would definitely allow that as you enter that exhibition, have like the story and that about it. So I would definitely consider all of that. Also, I just want to go back to actually the piece. Because this is extra things. I just wanted to share this one. Good old Canva. If you don't use Canva, you should. It's so handy. But I'm just checking the time. Okay, it's all good. On your actual piece, so once you've framed it, on the back, I always like to put a certificate of authenticity. I probably won't do a certificate of authenticity for every piece that's going in Mount Perry, but definitely my larger pieces that I feel at Gattaca's and that, again, this is for your customer. So a certificate of authenticity, if they purchase it, it's nice for them. They don't realize they're getting that until they've purchased it. And then I usually have it on the back of the work in a plastic sleeve. But it's just something for them to realize it elevates your work. Okay, so if you take the pride and care in your artwork to show that, it's an original, it's worth the money they've paid, well and truly, they've got a certificate of authenticity. And so if you show all of that in your work, then they'll understand it's the value of your work is higher. And then I also put on my artwork details card. So this goes on the back. So I print these on these sticky, like sticker paper. So I stick these on the back, and it's an artwork details with like just your size, your artist name, all of that. And this helps the gallery as well to make sure they're matching the right artwork with what's being sold and all the rest of it. I don't put the price on the back, just the details of it, and always how they can contact me. So again, I'm thinking of the buyer, and I also put an artwork care on the back, especially when I work in pastels. It's very important that they don't shake it around and tip it upside down and all the rest. And also for all pieces of art, it shouldn't be hung in direct sunlight anyway. That's not just pastels. So so those get stuck on the back of my art pieces. So it just, again, like I said, it elevates your work, makes it feel more special to the buyer as well. But then, getting back to the actual gallery, that's where you could have artist statements and all of that. So this is all things that you've got to think about. When you're doing an exhibition, you could also print out booklets. So for my Fraser Island one, I'm going to have little printed booklets that they can, when they're coming to have a look, especially for the opening night, they can go through, see each piece. I'll have photos in there with the price and the name, so they can, because usually the art galleries don't have the price on the wall. I know Gattaca's don't. So having something that the buyer, like people can actually see how much each piece is, I think is handy, and it's something they can take away with them as well. So that would also have my bio, the story, the theme, the statement of what it's all about. Also, a good idea is a QR code that links to your social media or your website. That they may later decide they might want to purchase work off you at a later date, or they might just want to follow you on Facebook or something, which that's great as well. But always make sure you've got ways for people that are looking at your exhibition to get in contact with you. Okay. So that's all the sort of, those, the presentation and the framing. So that's a big lot as well. And then, of course, there's pricing. You've then got to figure out pricing your work. So I usually base it on like the size and the materials. So my pastel work is more expensive than my charcoal work. So you could work off a price per square inch, if that helps, or you could just have some set pricing. I kind of have some set pricing. So I work in kind of 3 sizes. So my smaller work is usually around 400. My, middle size work is about 900 or so. And then my large pieces are usually around 2,500. So I have that price structure that I can figure out what I want. But you could do an hourly rate, you could do a price per square inch. Whatever you decide, stick with it, okay? And don't undersell yourself, okay? Resist the urge to keep it affordable just to make a sale, okay? Undervaluing your work sends the wrong message as well. Okay, don't think, I quite often, with a lot of things I do, I think, maybe I couldn't afford that. Like, I wouldn't pay that. So don't worry about what you would pay or what you could afford. It's got nothing to do with it. There are buyers out there that can afford way more than you're ever going to charge. So just keep your work at a good price. But you also have to figure out where you are. Like, if you're just starting out and are pretty new to it, you've only been painting for a month, then you're not going to be trying to sell your work for thousands of dollars. So figure out where you are as well, on that scale, okay? And keep your pricing consistent as well throughout everything. So if you've got work for sale on your website and in a gallery, don't undersell yourself in each one. Keep it consistent throughout the lot, okay? And your price sort of reflects your professionalism, not just your confidence. And that's the thing, you got to be confident as well, I think, with your pricing. And no discounts. That's it. That's your price. Okay. All right. And then promoting. We're getting towards the end. Like, I'm nearly at an hour. But promoting your exhibition, okay, don't just leave that to the gallery to do. So start posting early and often, so you could tease the event in advance on your Instagram or your Facebook, or if you have an email list, even your local bulletin board or your local Facebook sort of groups. You could share behind the scenes, like sneak peeks of you painting the work or framing the work or packaging the work or coming up with titles for the work. So there's lots of things you could think of and create social media posts about. So you want to get that build up to your exhibition, okay? Which the gallery's not going to do that for you. They'll advertise it on when it's on, but they're not going to create that excitement. That's your job, okay? You could also, in those posts that you're doing beforehand, you could tag the venue in them, and that it helps them because they can just share your post even throughout the month that your exhibition's on. Every time you do a post about your exhibition, make sure you tag the gallery, because it's so much easier for them just to share that post straight to their Facebook group rather than them having to come up and create a brand new post. So you'll find if you tag them every time, they'll share it every time, okay? And then use hashtags and QR codes. So like I said, use QR codes on things that you want to, if you're going to share flyers around everywhere, that has links to your website as well as the gallery, like the exhibition sort of site. Everyone likes a QR code nowadays because we're so used to it. With COVID got us into the QR codes. So everyone's got their phone and they can it's just easier than having to type in an email, a website and everything, then just scan the QR code, it goes straight to it. So, and also you can create a flyer digitally, like in Canva. You can put a QR code on in Canva, and share that and ask people to share. So you make it easier for people to share. So if you do a digital flyer with all the time and date of the opening night and all the rest of it, put it on your socials, ask people to share. Again, it's easy. They can just hit that share button. Okay, so you got to make it easy for people to promote, help you promote. Okay, and then of course we have our opening night, which you always are going to have. Your exhibition opening night. Usually it's at the start of the exhibition, and that's the main event that you've been promoting for and trying to get as many people in. Even though the exhibition could run for a month, it's that opening night that's sort of the main thing you want to get people to start with. Then throughout the month, I'll be doing, I know for my one, the galleries love it if you do like artist talks. I'm going to be doing workshops as well, because again, it brings more people into the gallery, and there's not just your exhibition. Usually there's other exhibitions. So galleries love you to bring people in. It doesn't matter how. Think about that as well. But for your main goal is to get people there on that opening night, or it could be an afternoon, whatever. Okay, and you need to not be shy. Okay, try and show up. People are coming to see your exhibition, so they want to talk about your work. So you could have you could pre-plan for that, especially, a lot of us are a bit introverted and can get a bit nervous talking. So you could have like pre-prepare a couple of sentences, that about your work when people sort of want to talk to you about the theme maybe, or, normally we know what we want to talk about anyway when they're asking us about a particular piece, but you can pre-plan. Make sure you've got plenty of business cards. Like I said, if you don't have a little booklet, even a flyer that they can take as well. And also make sure you get lots of photos of you next to your work as well. It's a great way to celebrate, but you'll find further down you'll be looking for photos like that to promote not only that exhibition but future exhibitions, but just to have on your socials and on your website as well. Okay, so plenty of photos. Try and be confident. Have friends there. Make sure you bring friends and family as well, so that will help with your confidence, because they're all there to support you, and that's it. So it's not scary, the opening night. And like I said, if you think you're going to freeze talking about your work and that, then pre-plan, have some little notes. You could even have it in your pocket if you need a little reminder of what you were going to talk about. Because also, I suppose you could have some little bullet points, because 9 times out of 10, they might want you to actually do a speech and just thank you. Well, you're going to just want to thank people for being there. It only has to be like 5 minutes. You could sit and talk for an hour if you wanted, but just a 5-minute thank everyone for being there. A little bit of an explanation of what the art is about, and hope they enjoy the night. So it can be short and sweet. Okay, so like I said, exhibiting your work it's a really great confidence booster. So if you at the level to want to put on a whole solo exhibition, go and talk to your local council galleries and approach them with an idea. If you're even more confident, go get a portfolio together to go to a private gallery in town or wherever. Or then if you're just starting out, or you think you're at a stage you'd like to do something, try and get a couple of other artist friends together and go to your local art society and try and just book a small space with a couple of you. And you'll have fun. That's the best bit. You will have so much fun. And it's really inspiring, because it makes you want to create. And you have to create. This is, again, when we have a deadline, it makes us do the work. So if you've been procrastinating, then maybe booking yourself into something like that will get you going. Okay. Andrea, you get tongue-tied when public speaking. Yeah, that's why it's very nerve-wracking for most artists. So that's why having a few little notes, I would keep it very short. You don't, the people are there to support you. They're not there to heckle you. It's not like you're a stand-up comedian and they're there to heckle you. They're there to support you. Okay, so whatever you say, they're gonna love, and it doesn't have to be long. If you're really nervous, just maybe, like I said, just thank them for coming. That's the main thing. Let them know a little bit about why you created the exhibition. And then, just hope they enjoy their night, and just remind them that the exhibition's on for the whole month or whatever dates it is. And you could also, if you are doing a workshop or an artist talk or something else throughout the month, you could mention that to them as well. So no, it's a big one. And like I've said before, even I do these Facebook Lives every single week, and it's not as bad. It gets easier, of course. The more you talk to people, the easier things become. But I still get nervous every time I press play or start, because it's like, what if I freeze? What if I don't know what I'm talking about? But that's why I have a lot of notes, and I'm not scared to let you all know that I do need notes because otherwise I would freeze up. Okay, so but no, it's good experience. And especially, if you're really nervous and I would start out, especially with you, Andrea, as well. I start talking and then I can't stop. That also can be a nervous thing as well. Like you start to babble, don't you, when you get nervous? But Andrea, I think definitely for you, I would try and get a couple of other friends together. We do it a lot here at our local art society. We'll book a wall each. And then on opening night, we all get up and we all just say thank you. And there's like 4 or 5 of us, and some are really nervous, some aren't too bad. But I usually just thank them, tell them what wall mine is, and what medium I work in. That I love, like wildlife art, and then I usually thank the gallery for having us, and being like, especially our local art society, because they are all amazing. They're all volunteers, and to be able to just hire a wall can be quite unusual. So I always make sure to thank them for what they do and making it available for up and coming artists like. And that's pretty much it. And then we move on to the next person. So if you've got other people there with you, it can be a lot better. Leonie said she needs someone to tell her to stop. Oh, yous are too funny. All right. Okay, well, that's it, guys. I'm right on the hour. I did well. I actually thought I was going to go over the hour with this one because I had so many screens to share. But I just thought it might be interesting. Some of you might not even be interested in putting work in a gallery, but I just thought it could be interesting for you to know the process. And I'll break all this down into a blog. I'll also have it in the membership for those that are sort of wanting to go in a gallery, but knowing there's a lot to it. There's a lot of steps. It's not just going and putting your work in a gallery. There's a lot to think about and organize. But if you do it all, and if you have the step-by-step process, and like I showed, working out what I was going to exhibit, what paintings I needed to paint in, what size I was working on. So I've really made it pretty foolproof for me now, just to go through and paint each one, tick it off. And then I know, all right, I need to get the flyers done. I need to advertise this. I need to, and work all of that out. So to me, everything I do is step by step. If I have it broken down enough, then I know I'll get through it. And because otherwise I can get really overwhelmed, because as you imagine, running the membership, trying to sell art, exhibit art, enter competitions, promote the membership, there's so many things, and if I actually think about how many things I have to do every week, it's huge. So and I get overwhelmed, and then I don't do anything. I then go and just watch TV or watch a show or something. Whereas if I have every day I have a list of what I'm doing each day, and I tick it off, and I just find I don't get overwhelmed then, because I know I just work through it. I will get there. It will eventually happen, and I just do it. Yeah, follow my lists. Okay, so Andrea, yeah, definitely safety in numbers, 100%. If you're nervous, go with a group show. All right. Okay, guys, thank you again. Thanks, Di. Glad you enjoyed that, and I did as well. Yeah, and have a great time. For those, some of you guys in the Creative Bar membership, in the premium tier, I might see you tonight. We've got our second draw along of our little orangutan. Otherwise, I'll see everyone else next Tuesday, and I have, again, no idea what I'm talking about, but I'll think of something. All right, thanks for joining me, everyone. I will end that. I'm just looking at Instagram. There we go. Okay, thanks, everyone. I'll see you.